Today on The Hookup, we're gonna take a look at battery-powered video doorbells, which is kind of what you're stuck with if your house was built without a wired doorbell. We're gonna compare 4 different brands in a bunch of different categories to determine if there is a clear winner in this relatively small category of devices. When my house was built, I specifically decided where to put the Ethernet, coax, and electrical outlets. But at no time during the construction process did anyone ask me whether I wanted a doorbell. And I guess I kind of just assumed it was a standard item. Well, I was wrong. It wasn't a huge deal at the time since battery-powered RF doorbells were cheap and they were effective, but when wired video doorbells started hitting the market around 2014, I was out of luck and a bit jealous. Fast forward about 6 years and we finally have a little bit of variety in the battery-powered video doorbell market. So today we're going to take a look at 4 different models from 4 different manufacturers to see how they stack up in these different aspects. First is the original video doorbell, and the one by which all others are measured, the Ring doorbell. This one happens to be the Ring Video Doorbell 2, and it retails for $199. To enable even the most basic features on the Ring doorbell, you also need to pay the additional $299 a month for their cloud subscription, which allows you to have up to 60 days of recording saved in the cloud and gives you the opportunity to download and share your video clips. Next is the newly released EufyCam Battery Video Doorbell, which also retails for $199. Unlike the Ring, the EufyCam doesn't require any cloud subscription and instead records locally onto the 16 gigabytes of internal storage on the included EufyCam Home Base 2. Third, we've got the brand new Toucan doorbell that was unveiled at CES. The Toucan has a much lower initial cost at only $89 and comes with free cloud storage for clips that occurred in the last 24 hours. But to get more storage than that, you'll need to pay $299 a month for their cloud subscription, which still only gets you 7 days worth of stored footage. And the last doorbell I'll be testing today is the Chinese white label doorbell sold by a few different companies on Amazon and AliExpress. The specific one I tested is made by Meco, but I imagine you'd end up with an identical experience if you purchased one from Zumimall, Jiri, or any other distributor. This doorbell retails for $89 and comes with a 32 gigabyte SD card pre-installed. Meco does offer a cloud backup option through their Cloud Edge app, but it's going to cost you $2.99 a month and only gives you 3 days of recorded footage. For initial value, the Toucan and Meco seem very tempting, but there's no point in getting a cheap device that doesn't perform well. So let's keep going to see if you get what you pay for. Most people associate video quality directly with resolution, but in actuality, video quality is influenced by many factors, including the resolution, frame rate, bit rate, and lens design. The EufyCam records at 2K resolution, or 2560 by 1920, while the Toucan records at a rather odd 1504 by 1504. The Ring and Meco cameras both record at true 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080. Equally important to resolution is bitrate, where the Ring camera is massively superior to the rest with almost twice the bitrate of the other cameras. And then comes frame rate, where the Toucan wins with a frame rate of nearly 20 frames per second. Lens design also has a lot to do with image quality. Wide-angle lenses will give you significantly greater field of view at the cost of image distortion around the edges of the video. Meco has a fairly standard lens resulting in a quality image but narrow field of view. The EufyCam lens is slightly fish-eyed, but is nothing compared to the Ring and Toucan doorbells that produce almost 180 degrees of horizontal field of view. The Toucan takes it one step further by also giving you nearly 180 degrees of vertical field of view as well. When it comes to picture quality, it's hard to argue with a side-by-side comparison. You can see that even though the Eufy is recording at the highest resolution, the Ring and Toucan videos just look better due to their higher bit rate and frame rate. The Meco footage isn't bad, but for such a narrow field of view, I'd expect a little bit better. Nighttime recording quality was passable for all the cameras, but not great. Unlike all the other clips in this video, these are not all from the same event, since I didn't want the infrared LEDs from one camera to influence the video quality of the others. So I tested them one at a time, and I removed the other cameras during each test. I rated all the cameras equally for nighttime video quality, but that doesn't tell the whole story. You can see that during the day, the Ring and Eufy cameras started their recording slightly earlier than the Meco and Toucan, but at night, the EufyCam began recording significantly before the other cameras, and the Ring actually did the worst by failing to detect motion at all until I physically touched the doorbell. And that brings me to my next important category, which is motion detection. For nighttime motion detection, the EufyCam was consistently superior to the other cameras. So if you're putting this camera in a dark area that doesn't have its own light source, the EufyCam is the clear choice. But let's see how they perform in some other typical situations. Probably the most common scenario involves someone walking up my driveway, then up the pathway to the front door to either leave a package or ring the doorbell. In this test, you can see that the Ring starts recording first, followed very closely by the EufyCam, and then the Toucan and the Meco after that. A less common but still important scenario would be someone entering from the side of my porch, possibly to steal a package. To be funny, I tried to act like a package thief and I threw on my hoodie while I stole the package. To my surprise, the hoodie was not only effective at blocking my face from being recorded by the cameras, but it also prevented the EufyCam doorbell from recording at all. This is an unfortunate result of an awesome feature on the EufyCam called human detection that uses on-device facial detection to determine if an actual human is responsible for the motion. Throughout my 2 weeks of testing, false alerts caused by passing cars, blowing leaves, and moving shadows made me pay significantly less attention to notifications sent by other cameras. But the Eufy only notified me when an actual human was in the frame. The motion recording sections in the Eufy do allow you to turn off human detection and record on all motion, but as expected, this results in false motion alerts just like the other cameras. I can say with 100% certainty that without the human detection feature, I would turn off motion notifications from all of these cameras. But I hope Eufy will give us the option to record on all motion while only sending notifications with human detection in a future update. Ring is currently piloting their own human detection system, but unfortunately my device wasn't eligible yet for their gradual rollout. Luckily, a friend of mine did get the human detection firmware update, so I headed over to his house to test it out. Unfortunately, in our testing, turning on human detection appeared to render the doorbell's motion detection completely useless, and we couldn't get it to detect motion even while standing right in front of it with human detection turned on. It appears that Ring and Eufy both have some work to do with their human detection systems, but I'm really excited to see how they develop. If you've had better luck with your Ring human-only alerts, please let me know down in the comments. For motion detection, the EufyCam had the most consistent motion recording and the least amount of false motion events. The Ring also performed well, but with a significant number of false motion events. And the Toucan and Meco were passable, but consistently started their recordings well after motion began. Almost equally important to the quality of recorded video and motion detection is the ability to easily access and sort through your motion events. Because what good is recorded video if you can't find the clip that you're looking for? Historically, there are two common ways to organize surveillance footage: list form and timeline form. The Ring app offers both timeline and list-based video organization, which I really like. Footage was easy to find, easy to view, and easy to download. Overall, the Ring app provides a responsive and bug-free experience. The Ring app also has the option to share your videos and view shared videos from your neighbors in a kind of neighborhood watch functionality. While I have some concerns about the privacy associated with this feature, overall, I really like it. The EufyCam app uses list form only for its motion events, with the event type and thumbnail for each event. If you have human detection on, it will also give you a small thumbnail of that person's face next to each clip. Accessing and saving video was quick and easy, just like in the Ring app, and I found the EufyCam to be easy to use, responsive, and mostly free of bugs. The Toucan app has thumbnails of each event in list form and classifies them as motion events or doorbell events. But for some reason, the doorbell events don't include video because pressing the doorbell doesn't automatically trigger video recording. Scrubbing through the timeline is painfully slow and often causes the app to freeze. Saving clips in the Toucan app is also buggy, and even though I was always able to eventually get them to save, it never happened on the first try. The Toucan app is usable, but in my opinion, it still needs quite a bit of work. The Meco doorbell uses an app called Cloud Edge, which, like the Ring app, offers both list and timeline-based playback. Sort of. To select your initial clip, you'll use the list, which classifies motion events and generates a thumbnail preview. Then, to actually see the clip, you'll click on the orange play button next to the thumbnail. If you aren't paying for the cloud subscription, it's going to give you a message that says no video is available. And then you need to click on History instead of Cloud to bring up videos stored on the internal SD card. The initial loading process has to retrieve all the clips from the device, which not only takes quite a while, but as I mentioned before, also causes battery drain since the clips are stored on the actual doorbell. Aside from responsiveness, the app is actually pretty easy to use once you get used to it, and it worked without any issues. Next, let's take a look at how these things function as doorbells. The most obvious thing that a doorbell does is alert you that someone is at the door. Each doorbell has a lighted ring around the button to confirm to a visitor that they've correctly pressed it. This feedback was especially important on the Toucan doorbell, which needed to be pressed at the top of the button rather than the middle in order to correctly register. The Ring, Eufy, and Meco doorbells also have an audible ringtone that comes from the doorbell itself, but the indoor chime is much more important. Inside the house, the EufyCam plays a chime out of the included Home Base 2. The Toucan plays a chime out of a separate battery-powered portable unit, and the Meco has a USB-powered chime that can be plugged directly into any USB port or any wall socket with a USB adapter. If you want your Ring doorbell to play a chime inside your house, you'll need to buy a separate $29 Ring chime or set up alerts on your Amazon Echo devices, which the EufyCam and Toucan can also do. The problem with using your Echo devices as a chime is that there's no way to specify which devices play the chime. So if you have Echoes in your kids' bedrooms, you'll also need to make sure that you set up Do Not Disturb schedules in order to avoid waking them up when the UPS guy comes at 10 p.m. Another cool feature of these video doorbells is two-way audio, which in theory allows you to talk to the person outside your door even if you aren't home. But here's how they worked in practice. Hi, can I help you?
Hi.
Would you like to buy some magazines?
Would you like to buy some magazines?
Not really. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, can I help you?
Would you like to buy some magazines?
No thank you. See you later.
Okay, have a good day.
Hi, can I help you? Hi, can I help you?
How can I help you?
Yes, would you like to buy some magazines?
Yes, would you like to buy some magazines?
No thank you. See you later.
Thank you. See you later.
Okay, have a good day.
Okay, have a good day.
Hi, can I help you?
Hi, can I help you?
Yes, would you like to buy some magazines?
No thank you.
No, thank you.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you later.
Have a good day.
Good day.
It's also important to note that the Ring was the only one that actually recorded the two-way conversation. The other doorbells recorded the initial button press and then stopped recording before the conversation occurred. Next is battery performance, and I unfortunately can't give an exact estimate for battery life since my testing involved ringing the doorbell and bringing up the live view dozens of times a day, which is hardly normal use. But for the purpose of transparency, the EufyCam battery dropped around 1% per day, the Ring dropped around 1.5% per day, and the Meco around 5% per day. The Toucan doesn't report its battery life in percentages, so I don't really have any useful data to report regarding the Toucan. I'm going to keep all 4 doorbells installed until they need recharging, and I'll update the video description with the expected battery life for each camera as that data becomes available. One area that the EufyCam is wildly superior to all the other cameras is Wi-Fi and internet reliance. The Ring, Meco, and Toucan cameras all connect directly to your Wi-Fi network, while the EufyCam connects to your network via the Eufy home base 2. This means that if your Wi-Fi coverage isn't great outside your door, you can position the home base in an intermediate location to give your doorbell a stronger signal. The other upside to this connection type is that your video is stored on-site and doesn't require an internet connection. To confirm this, I used my firewall to block the cameras and the home base from the internet, and then I created some unique motion in front of the cameras. As expected, the Ring and Toucan cameras failed to record any video when the internet was out, but the EufyCam and the Meco with their local storage were able to capture the event, even though I wasn't able to play it back until the internet was restored. Surprisingly, the EufyCam doorbell was the only camera that I was able to access the live view from my local network when the internet was down. I ended up giving the EufyCam a 9 instead of a 10 in this category due to its reliance on the cloud for video playback, but it's still significantly better than all the rest. If you experience frequent internet or Wi-Fi outages, I would highly recommend the EufyCam doorbell. And you should be aware that the Ring and Toucan doorbells will fail to record videos at all if they don't have access to the internet. The last category I'm going to look at is voice assistant integration. Starting with the Echo skills, the Ring, EufyCam, and Toucan all have the ability to stream live video to your Echo Show or Fire TV device using their individual skills. But none of them load particularly quickly, taking around 8 to 10 seconds on average. The Ring Echo skill also allows you to activate the microphone to have a two-way conversation straight from your Echo device, and it has similar quality to the one on the phone. This added functionality is probably available due to the fact that Ring is now owned by Amazon, but the downside of that relationship is that the Ring can't be integrated with Google Home at all. EufyCam, on the other hand, also has a Google Home service, which is going to allow you to stream video directly to your Google Home devices or Chromecast devices with a similar delay to the Echo. The Toucan doorbell also has a Google Home service, but at the time of publishing this video, both of their services are non-functional. The Meco doorbell doesn't have an Amazon skill or a Google Home service, so it's not going to integrate with any of your voice assistants. So after all is said and done, here are the scores for each doorbell. The EufyCam's largest shortcoming is its video quality, which suffers from low bitrate and frame rate. I like that it records locally to the base station, and I appreciate that it doesn't require a monthly fee. Human detection is an absolute must-have if you plan on using motion notifications, and I've already reached out to Eufy suggesting allowing recording for all motion events, but only notifications for human detection. The Ring camera is another solid all-around choice. The company's experience in the market and development resources are obvious when comparing the polish of the app and the experience with the other newer brands. I wish I would have been able to evaluate their human-only notifications to see how effective they are compared with the EufyCams, but for now it seems like it isn't quite ready. The Chinese white label camera by Meco offers the bare minimum functionality for a bare minimum price. I like that all the recordings are local, but having to access a battery-powered device to review the footage seems like a terrible idea, and the battery data that I collected during my testing seems to confirm that fact. The downfall of the Meco is certainly its batteries, and I would expect it to need charging at least once a month. And last is the Toucan doorbell. I love the super fisheye lens on the Toucan, but in my opinion, everything else needs some work. The app is buggy, and the button hardware failure is especially concerning, and it makes me wonder about the rest of the build quality. The initial value at only $89 is intriguing, but I just don't think it's ready for prime time yet. I don't think I missed any major players in the battery video doorbell category, but if I did, make sure to let me know down in the comments. Thank you to all of my awesome patrons over at Patreon for your continued support of my channel. If you're interested in supporting my channel, please check out the links down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching The Hookup.